my mom was born and raised here, and my father was born up in Kotzebue. So he's Inupiaq, and so I'm half Tlingit and half Inupiaq. And my name is Sonya Johnson, and this is what I do. If I sit down and really work on it, like I had like this one, 2 days. Yeah. And that's if I'm not so busy in my life. And it's sad, because, it's like we need money and it takes away from my artwork and something like this, it took me a few hours to do this, and it just depends. I think I have, like this will take a week, I think, about a week. But yeah, if I sit down and really try, and like this one, it's a spruce root hat, and it took me 3 years to finish, off and on. But from here, from the very top to like right here, took me 9 days. I remember that because the class was 9 days, so yeah, 9 days. Then it sat there in my closet for the longest time, and then it would tell me, work on me. And so it's like, that's when I was in Missouri, so I finally sat down and finished it in Missouri. And from here down to the very bottom, it took me 21 days. So about a month to do a spruce root hat. That's if I sit down and really work on it. But yeah, it was, what really pushed me is the design. It's like one more row, one more, because you want to see it come alive. And it does. With your fingers, it comes alive, and you just want to keep going to finish it to see how it looks. And I put a lot of, when if I know the person that I'm doing the hat for, I pray over it. And like my sister Dawn's hat, I put memories in there. And you never want to weave while you're mad or sad, because it's all going in there. So you want to weave, you want to be in a good place. No. Like, you don't want to have anything interfering, drugs or alcohol. You don't want to do that while you're weaving, and I don't. And I started something new, it's like right here. I leave it, and so when the person gets it, because I've prayed throughout the whole thing, and when they get it, they clip it and say a little prayer so they can finish the process. I try to keep my eyes good because, it's like you need that. It's like not material things. Yeah, it's like I can always get those, but these, you need them. And I feel like if I lose my eyes, it's like, how am I gonna weave? It's like, am I gonna sit there and feel? It's really important because you need visual, and so yeah. Especially my hands. Oh, my hands hurt so bad when I'm weaving because you're constantly moving your fingers, flipping. Yeah. I call them my dancing fingers. The cedar is more pliable, much easier to work with, and you take that off the bark, the tree, the bark, and you can get like maybe 2 or 3 layers out of the bark. And the spruce, you have to dig out of the ground, and so you're on your hands and knees, and then after you dig them out, we put them aside, and then after we get a great big container, or a garbage bag full or something, or grocery bag, and then we burn the root, and it cooks it, and then we have an Hoonah, and so we pull the root through the Hoonah, and then we have to clean it with rainwater, and then split it, and then you try to get a warp and a weaver out of that root, and then you gotta scrape it to where it's more pliable. So that's why the spruce root hat is a lot more than the spruce or the cedar. So yeah, more work. So if you dig for 8 hours, or if you dig for 1 hour, it's like 8 hours of prep for spruce root. And that's not even weaving. I get the yellow here in Hoonah, and we tend to get it like early spring. And then we don't have any red here, so I barter for that with people in Canada. And so I barter, because this one lady doesn't have red or yellow, so I trade with her. So that worked out good. But my whole family goes out and gets the yellow cedar with me. We make it a great big thing and go out and gather. And then I get to sit at home and split it. But the spruce, my daughter, Kendra, she helps me, and my husband helps me. And my daughter came up a couple years ago, and I showed her how to go out and get spruce. And so we try to go out and do it as a family. Kendra, she always tries to get the longest one. When she was younger, she would sit in between my legs, and I'd weave with her right in front of me. And then when we got yellow cedar, I'd have her stand in between my legs, and I was sitting on the chair, and she'd sit there and split with me. So I take my hands and hers and help her. So yeah. For the balsam border, I use grass. We gather that, and I collect them and I cut them to length to where I call them knuckles, and then boil them, I think, for 10 minutes, and then I let them hang, and they turn white. And then you can dye them any color you want. And then I use maidenhair fern. And then everything's mathematical. So it's like if a basket has like 149 warps, that design, I'll calculate it out to where it connects in the back evenly. So it all comes together, all in one. So this is what I'm talking about. I drew it all out on paper, and then you count from here to like the middle of this one. So you never go from the whole picture. You take half of that and then half of the other one, because they're the same. And so you take half of, so it's the true design. So you take half of that and half of that, and then you count them out, and you take that number and you divide it by how many warps you have. And so you'll know that the design will come out even. And that's how you get the true design. That way you're not going with the whole design. This is the first time I've ever used anything different. So I was really kind of excited. I've always wanted to try it. It's like the first time I saw salmon skin, it's like, oh, that'd be cool. Your mind is always going. And so when I saw it over in June, I was like, I had to get some. And it's a little more difficult to work with, to cut it and cut it down to size. And I was having a tough time with it. So yeah, I just use grass, maidenhair fern, yellow and red cedar. I haven't really tried anything else. I was so excited when it started coming through. It's like, one more row. But it was getting late, so I was like, I better quit. Yeah. Like 16 hours later. Back then, they used a lot of natural dye, and nowadays we use more of the Brit. dye. So yeah, it's faster and less time consuming because, it's like the old time dyeing, you have to, it's like to get black, you gotta collect rusty nails and so forth and, gather all these. It is time consuming more. You can just go to the store and buy red, which is sad. It's like I wish I knew more about the dyeing part of the material. Yeah, and they tend to fade. The old time dyeing, I think it tended to fade faster. These two right now have, this one's a plated hat, and it's a little wider than the more intricate than this one and this one. So yeah, but I'm always busy, and I may not be busy weaving, but I'm always busy looking at everything. It's like if I see a poster or something, some kind of design, I'll try to remember it, or I'll take a picture of it so I can put it in my weaving. It's like constantly, I'm always looking, always. I made this one for my mom. I always try to make her something special for her birthday. And it's all hand woven with no, I didn't use a form. And so when I went up the basket, I try to make it as even as I could. But yeah, it's all, usually you have a bottom on, like a flat bottom. This one is all like an open over under type of weave. And this one I made for my brother Kevin. It was my first fedora, and it's made out of Missouri red cedar. I made the whole thing out of yellow and red cedar, but the ones that are going this way, like you're weaving around, so you're going around. The one that's going around instead of going down this way, the way is the Missouri. So I have Alaska and Missouri red cedar. They weren't selling any fedora forms, and so I went to Walmart and firmed it up and used like foam and sprayed the inside of the hat from Walmart and made it stiff so I can weave a fedora. And so if I can't find anything, I tend to make it myself. And if you notice, it's all round. And so it's I didn't know how to weave in like a oval. And so I had to teach myself how to make it kind of come out even, because you want to come out even on the sides. So yeah. This one I made for my nephew Brian, and with the herringbone headband, and my granddaughter Michaela, I made that for my mom, that for my son Wilbur, and then we kind of tend to share everybody in the house. We share the spruce root. So yeah. And I have enough material to make more, but I think another half. The glass ball, because you have to hold it, and so because you have to go up the ball, and so going up this way, I had a hard time trying to weave around it. But when it finally started curving up, it's like, oh, something oddly shaped is hard to do. The tops I pin down so I can keep it stable. So yeah, I want to learn how to do raven's tail. And I did incorporate it in a few of my hats, but that was kind of self-taught, kind of looking at I would look at a picture and try to do it by hand. And so I never learned how to do that. But I think if I learned raven's tail, I think I would tend to lose my cedar and my spruce root weaving if I picked up on raven's tail. So I tend to not try. But yeah, I have put in like a cedar hat down at the bottom, raven's tail. So yeah. I always saw my dad fiddling with stuff with his fingers, and so I think that's where I got it from. And so I think it just became natural for me when I picked up the cedar, and everything just fell in place. And I don't really know when it started, how young I was, but I remember, doing little things. And Glenda Hutton, she was my teacher, and she had this project, and I was always sick when I was younger. And so she sent home homework and stuff, and she had this one art project, and it was yarn, working with yarn, going back and forth, in and out, weaving. And she sent home instructions on how to do it, and so I sat there and I did it. And by the time I was well enough to go back to school, I showed it to her. Everything was all nice and straight. I made sure that it was all nice and straight. And then she thought it was so great that she took it to the Alaska Fair, and I came in first place twice, I think, 2 years in a row. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I had it for the longest time. And I had a little purple ribbon instead of blue. I think it was blue, I can't remember. But yeah, it was really neat. It was like the first time I ever won anything. So yeah, we hung it up on the wall. And I remember my dad got a stick and he tied it up there. It was about this big. Yeah. Back in 2001, when my Aunt Carol Williams signed me up for this class through Sea Alaska. So I was really surprised. And she's like, well, I signed you up for the cedar bark weaving. He was like, I had no clue what they were, because it was almost lost. And so when there was this great big group that started off, and I think a lot of us were like nervous. By the time it was a 9-day class, I think it was like, I can't remember how many hours a night, but I would work after, I'd go there and weave after work. So yeah. And then by the time we got done and they saw how many people were interested and how good we all ended up being. So they made it to where they took a small group of us to where we could learn more intricate and more, the false embroidery and designs and the dyeing of the material, going out and getting material and doing that. And so after we finished that, we got our degree for teaching weaving. And then I took it into the school, kinda, and incorporated it in their curriculum. And I had a small group of teenagers that we got to work with. We had an hour a day, I think it was, and we had, I do believe, 11 girls in that class, and so we taught them how to feed, and it was incorporated with the Tlingit language. And so actually my daughter Kaylee got to be in on class too, and so I got to teach her, and actually she did start a spruce root hat, and it's like halfway done, and she's more of a perfectionist than I am. So yeah, I do teach my girls how to weave, and I'm here and there I'm teaching my granddaughter how. So yeah, so it'll be in the family still. I show them my tricks. I don't remember growing up knowing anything, and then when we did start, Dolores Churchill was my mentor for the longest time, and she still is. And she has so much knowledge, and it's sad that she's getting up there in age, and I wish she can just live on forever. Because, it's like when I was taking the class and she was going through the woods, and she was like 70 at the time, I think it was. And she was running through the woods like she was a young child, and she's like, "Sonya, come over here." And I was like, "Hold on." It was just like, she had such an energy about her that, it's like, wow, I hope I have that much energy when I'm her age. And, now that I'm older, 20 years later, I'm just like, wow. It's like there was so much things that happened in my life, it's like, I don't know how she did it, and she still does. I see pictures on Facebook where she's out in the woods still gathering. So yeah, and like, she's amazing. I had an opportunity to teach down in Washington, and I got picked out of, I don't know how many people applied for it, and they called me back and they said, "Yeah, we want you." And so I was really excited, and they go, "We'll give you a call around springtime." And it was, I think it was Puyallup that was interested, and the tribe down there, and they were looking like around Christmas time and so forth, and so I was looking forward to springtime, and COVID hit, and so I never got the opportunity to go to Puyallup and to their tribe and show them what I learned. A lot of people come up to me and ask me if I can show them how to weave, and I was like, if I can find time. It's always time. The people that I began with, they are tremendously talented, and here I am, and it's like, I can do so much, it's like, and then life happens, and it's like I quit when I was in Washington for about a year, because I had health issues. I had papillary cancer, and it prevented me from weaving, so it hurt to weave. And so when they finally fixed me, it was just like, I thought I can get right back into it, but it took time to get back into it. But yeah, it's but I'm glad I can still do it today. I didn't really know when I was younger, it was just when I got introduced to it, so I didn't really know. But my grandmother was a weaver, and I wish I could see her her weavings, it's like her artwork, and I never did. I never got the opportunity to even look at it. So I don't know if it was being lost back then or just people not, you know. But yeah, I can see the difference between the artwork that I've seen since I've started to now. I was like, yeah, there's different changes. Like what I'm doing is there's, like with the salmon skin and so forth. And I know it's not traditional, but, I'm stepping it up a little. I have books, and then I'll sit up for hours on the internet looking at, like spruce root, the designs. And I've noticed that we don't do much base. You ever see the old time weavings where they had the base woven into the baskets and so forth? I don't see a lot of that. I want to weave with spruce root more. I think it's a beautiful material. And it's just going out and getting it and finding the time, and it's always time. Now that I'm getting more known, so I try to look for my hats and like pictures, or it's like a celebration, or to get more known. And I'm getting there, and right now I think I have like 13 hats that I need to finish. But yeah, it's getting up there, and people know that they know I have a list going. So yeah, just trying to get my name out there and get my artwork out there. Everything, it's like the beauty of it, the beauty of the whole thing, it's like you look at it and it's just like, wow. But, it's like getting there is another thing. It's like I procrastinate. And not a lot of people do, but, it's like once I start, it's like, why did I stop? I mean, I was like, but yeah, it's the art that keeps me going, and, it's like stuff like, like this, it's like, how could I stop when I can continue on, and, my work will be here long before, long after I'm gone. So, it's like at least a little part of me is with somebody that cherishes it. I can see the different levels that I've progressed it throughout the years. So I try to challenge myself and try to better my weaving from time to time. Yeah. So I've learned from Dolores Churchill, and I watch like videos on Facebook on. I belong to different groups, and so I learn from that too. So I'm always learning. Don't get discouraged. It's like maybe hard at first, but just keep at it. Especially spruce root. It's a really hard material to work with, and if you just thin it out as much as you can, then it's more pliable. But yeah, just keep at it.